It began with a missing ship. Not a war vessel, but a healer's barge carrying medicine to a recovering colony. It vanished near the outer rim, no distress call, no debris. Then another. And another. Each time the stars in that region dimmed as if something were drinking the light. The Bloom sensed it first. Its heart sphere grew cold. Its corridors shrank inward like a creature curling from pain. Zara stood before it, her silver markings dull. Something is wrong, she told Lisa over the comms. Not an enemy, an absence. Lisa had returned to the Bloom weeks earlier, her hair streaked with gray. Her steps slower, but her eyes still bright. She felt it too. A hollowness in the air like a room where someone used to live. They sent Maya, the young captain, to investigate. Her ship glided through the silent zone. Its sensors blind, its lights flickering. Then it stopped. Not broken. Just still. Maya's voice came through weak and distant. It is not attacking, it is emptying. Lisa knew then what they faced. Not a fleet, not a weapon. A void. An ancient force older than the Vera, older than stars. The Draith. Beings of pure negation. They did not hate. They did not fear. They simply believed feeling was a mistake in the fabric of reality, and they sought to undo it. The Draith moved like holes in space. Where they passed, color faded, sound died, memory unraveled. They left no wreckage, only silence. And silence was spreading. Zara called a meeting, not in a war room but in the Bloom's heart chamber. Kale came, his armor now etched with soft vines. A Vera elder arrived, her face still smooth, but her eyes held a flicker of warmth. Maya stood beside Lisa, her hand steady. We cannot fight nothing, Lisa said. Weapons pass through them. Energy scatters. They are not matter. They are anti-meaning. Then we do not fight, Zara said. We remind what the universe that it matters. The plan was simple and impossible. They would gather every being who had ever felt the Bloom's light, not to attack but to remember, to hold their memories so tightly that the void could not swallow them. Krell would sing their lost lullabies. Vera would share their first smiles. Humans would tell stories of love in ruins, and the Bloom would weave it all into a single pulse of truth. But it needed a center, a heart strong enough to hold the weight of so much feeling. Lisa looked at Zara. You know what must be done. Zara nodded. The Bloom must leave its body. Lisa's breath caught. That is death. Not death. Zara said gently. Transformation. The Bloom will release its core, its heart sphere, into the void. It will become pure feeling, no walls, no ship, just light and memory. It may not return, and you go with it. I am its voice, its will. Lisa reached for her hand. Stay. If I stay, the light dies. If I go, it lives. Tears fell down Lisa's cheeks, but she did not wipe them away. She let them fall like seeds. Preparations began. The Bloom shed its outer layers like a snake leaving skin. Its corridors dissolved into mist. Its rooms became open sky. At its center floated the heart sphere, now twice its size, glowing with the colors of 1,000 sunsets. Inside it, Zara stood barefoot. Her robe gone, her silver markings blazing like stars. Lisa stood with her one last time. You changed everything, Lisa whispered. You showed me how, Zara replied. They embraced. No words, just the quiet understanding of two souls who had found each other in the dark and dared to believe in light. Then Zara stepped into the sphere. It closed around her like water. The Bloom gave one final hum, then released its core into space. The ship itself crumbled into golden dust, scattering on the solar wind. Only the sphere remained, drifting toward the growing silence. The Draith came, not as ships but as tears in reality. Space bent around them. Stars winked out, the void opened its mouth, and the sphere pulsed, not with force but with memory. It showed the Draith everything they had erased. A mother's first touch, a friend's last goodbye, the taste of rain after drought, the sound of a name spoken with love. It did not argue. It did not demand. It simply said this was real. This mattered. The Draith hesitated. For the first time in eons, they felt something. Not pain, not joy, but weight. The weight of what was lost. One Draith form flickered, then another. The void shuddered. It was not defeated. It was remembered. The silence began to fill. Color returned to the stars. Sound crept back into the dark. The missing ships reappeared, their crews dazed but alive, their memories intact. The Draith did not vanish. They retreated not in fear but in confusion. They needed time to understand this strange thing called feeling. The heart sphere drifted back toward the gathered fleet. It dimmed but did not die. Inside, Zara floated, eyes closed, breath slow. She was not gone. But she was changed. No longer bound to a body or a ship, she had become part of the light itself. Lisa reached out through the comms. "Sarah, can you hear me?" A voice came not through speakers but through the air, through the walls, through the bones of every being present. "I am here. I am everywhere, feeling lives." The Vera elder bowed her head. "You have given us a new law, not of order, but of heart." Kale placed a hand on his chest. "We will teach our children to feel not as weakness but as honor." Maya looked at Lisa. "What now?" Now Lisa said, "We rebuild, not with steel but with stories." In the months that followed, the galaxy changed again, not with treaties or borders but with shared meals, shared songs, shared tears. The Krell planted gardens on their war platforms. The Vera opened libraries filled with human novels and Krell folktales. And on Earth, Lisa stood before a new generation, not as a soldier but as a teacher. She told them of Zara, of the bloom, of the day silence almost won, and how feeling saved everything. But the greatest change was quiet. People began to look at each other not as threats but as mirrors. They asked, "How are you?" and meant it. They listened not to reply but to understand. They held hands in grief and in joy. They learned that to feel was to be alive, and to share that feeling was to be human or Krell or Vera or something even greater. One evening, Lisa walked alone through a field outside New Chicago. The stars shone bright and clear. No void, no silence, just endless light. She sat on the grass and closed her eyes. A warmth touched her skin, soft and familiar. She opened her eyes. Above her, the stars shimmered in a pattern she knew, silver lines forming a face, violet eyes smiling. "You are still with us?" Lisa whispered. "Always," the wind seemed to say, "as long as someone remembers to feel." Lisa smiled. "Then we will never be alone." Far away in the deep dark, the heart sphere drifted not as a weapon, not as a shield, but as a lighthouse. Its light did not burn. It invited. It said, "Come. You are seen. You are known. You matter." And across the stars, beings looked up and felt a little less afraid. The Draith watched from the edge of nothing. They did not attack. They observed. One of them reached out a tendril of shadow and touched a stray beam of the sphere's light. For a moment it glowed faintly gold. Then it pulled back. But it did not erase the memory. It kept it, like a seed. Peace was not the absence of danger. It was the presence of courage. And courage was not loud. It was the quiet choice to care when the universe said not to. Lisa returned to the city, her steps light. Children ran past laughing. An old man played a flute on a street corner. A couple shared bread under a street lamp. Small things, human things. Beautiful things. She knew the void would return. Darkness always does. But now the galaxy had a weapon stronger than any ship. It had connection. It had truth. It had love. And love does not shout. It whispers. And in that whisper, entire worlds are born. The end. The silence after the Draith faded was not empty but full. Full of breath, full of waiting, full of the soft hum of a galaxy learning to trust its own heart. Lisa walked through New Chicago not as a hero but as a neighbor. She bought bread from the same bakery every morning. She sat on park benches watching children chase light-dappled shadows. She spoke little of the bloom or Zara or the void that once swallowed stars. But people knew. They saw it in her eyes, the calm that came not from peace but from having faced the end and chosen kindness anyway. Yet the universe does not rest. And in the quiet corners where light barely reached, a new unease stirred, not from outside but from within, among the humans themselves. The Alliance had watched the bloom's influence spread with growing discomfort. They saw Krell sharing food with Vera. They saw Earth schools teaching empathy as science. They saw weapons decommissioned not by treaty but by choice, and they feared it. Fear wears many masks. This one wore a uniform. Admiral Carter stood before the High Council, his voice sharp as glass. "Feeling is not strategy," he said. "Compassion is not defense. What Lisa and her alien friends have built is fragile. Beautiful perhaps, but fragile. One spark and it collapses. We must prepare, not for war with others, but for the weakness inside us." His words found fertile ground. Old generals nodded. Security chiefs whispered. Budgets shifted. Hidden labs reopened. They called it Project Anchor. Not to destroy the bloom's light, but to control it, to bottle it, to make it safe. One morning as Lisa walked the outer ring of the ship, she felt a shift in the air. The silver veins in the walls dimmed. The hum grew tense. She found Zara in the core chamber standing before the heart sphere. Her hands clasped tight. "What is it?" Lisa asked. Zara did not turn. The Krell have returned, but not as hunters. They come with a single ship. No weapons charged. They ask to speak. Lisa stepped closer. Why, they say they have seen what we showed them. They say it changed something inside them. They want to understand. Lisa frowned. Can we trust them? Zara finally looked at her. Trust is not given. It is grown. Like a seed in dark soil. We must water it. The Krell vessel was smaller than before, sleek and black, but its edges softened as if it too had changed. It hovered near the bloom like a bird unsure of a branch. A figure emerged from its ramp, tall and armored, but without a helmet. His skin was gray, his eyes sharp but no longer cold. He moved slowly as if carrying weight. I am Kale, commander of the Silent Claw. He said, his voice rough but quiet. I come not to fight. I come to see. Zara nodded. You are welcome. Kale stepped inside the bloom and flinched as the walls pulsed with light. This ship is alive, he said. It listens, he replied. It feels. Kale looked at Lisa. You are the human who made it sing. Lisa met his gaze. I did not make it sing. I just stopped lying to myself. For days, Kale stayed aboard. He watched Lisa teach Zara how to braid hair using strands of light. He saw the bloom grow fruit from shared memories of summer days. He sat in silence as Lisa cried, remembering her brother, and Zara held her without words. One night he asked to speak with Lisa alone. Why do you not hate us? He asked. We shot at you. We called you beast because hate is easy, Lisa said. Understanding is hard, and I am tired of easy things. Kale looked down at his hands. I was taught that emotion is weakness. That feeling clouds judgment. But when your light touched my ship, I felt my father's voice for the first time in years. He used to sing to me before the wars. I had forgotten that sound. I thought it was gone forever. Lisa placed a hand on his arm. It was not gone. It was just buried. Kale's eyes shimmered. Maybe your kind is not chaos. Maybe you are mirrors. You show us what we lost. When Kyle left, he took a small seed with him grown from the bloom's heart. Plant it, he said. If it grows, your truth is real. Months later, a message came not through comms, but through the stars themselves. A ripple in the light. The seed had sprouted on a dead Krell moon. Its leaves glowed silver. Its roots healed the poisoned soil. Other Krell came to see. They touched its bark and remembered their own lost songs. But peace is fragile. Far beyond the Krell borders, another power stirred. The Vera, ancient, cold, and vast. They had watched the bloom's light spread like a rumor through the dark. They saw humans and Krell speaking. They saw ships that healed instead of harmed, and they feared it. The Vera did not believe in feeling. They believed in order. In silence. In control. They saw emotion as a flaw in the universe, a glitch to be erased, and they decided the whispering bloom was a disease. One night the stars went out. Not all of them, but a patch of sky near the bloom's path turned black as ink. No light, no signal, no sound. The bloom shuddered. The heart sphere dimmed to a faint ember. What is that? Zara whispered. Lisa checked the sensors. Nothing. It is like space itself is dead. Then the Vera spoke, not with voice but with pressure. A thought forced into their minds, cold and sharp. Surrender the bloom. Surrender the human. Surrender feeling. Or be unmade. Zara's face paled. The Vera do not negotiate. They erase. Lisa clenched her fists. Then we do not negotiate. We show them. But how? Zara asked. They have no heart to reach. Maybe not, she said. But they have memory. Everyone has memory. She turned to the heart sphere. Show me the Vera. The bloom hesitated. Then images formed in the light. A world of glass towers under a white sun. Beings tall and smooth, their faces blank, their movements precise. No laughter, no tears, no art. Only function. Only silence. But deep in their history, buried under layers of control, there was a moment. A child Vera once dropped a crystal cup. It shattered. And for 1 second before the elders corrected her, the child smiled. That is it, Lisa said. That is where we start. She asked Zara to send a message not with words, but with that single memory. The sound of breaking glass. The flash of surprise. The tiny smile. They sent it into the void, wrapped in warmth, not as a weapon, but as a question. The black patch in the stars did not move. For 3 days, nothing happened. The bloom held its breath. Lisa barely slept. Then on the 4th night, a single point of light appeared in the darkness, small and steady, like a star waking up. The Vera ship emerged, not black but pale gray, its shape less rigid, more fluid. It hovered before the bloom. No weapons, no demands, only silence. A figure stepped out. Taller than kale, smoother than stone. Its face held no expression, but its eyes flickered like distant stars. It approached the Bloom's entrance and stopped. "You sent us a memory?" It said, its voice like wind over ice. "Why, because you buried it," Lisa said. "But it is still yours." The Vera tilted its head. "We removed weakness long ago. Emotion leads to error, to pain. Pain is part of being alive," Lisa said. "You cannot cut it out without cutting out joy too, without cutting out love." The Vera looked at Zara. "And you allow this chaos," Zara stepped forward. "It is not chaos. It is balance. Sorrow makes joy brighter. Fear makes courage matter. Without feeling, what is the point of existence?" The Vera was silent for a long time. Then it reached into its robe and pulled out a small crystal. Inside it swirled a faint silver light. "Our archives recorded your signal. We studied it. We replayed it. We argued. Some called it poison. Others called it home." It placed the crystal on the floor. "It is a piece of our oldest core. Take it. Grow your light with it. But know this. If your feeling becomes weapon, if your heart turns to fire, we will return. And next time we will not listen." Lisa picked up the crystal. It was cold but pulsed faintly like a sleeping heart. "We will not turn it to fire," she said. "We will turn it to song." The Vera nodded once and returned to its ship. As it left, the black patch in the stars filled with light again. The Bloom sighed. The heart sphere glowed brighter than ever. In the weeks that followed, the crystal fused with the Bloom's core. New corridors formed lined with pale blue vines. The air smelled of frost and pine. The ship had grown, and so had they. Lisa knew Earth would hear of this. The Alliance would want to study the Bloom to use it as a tool, but she also knew some truths cannot be owned. They can only be shared. One evening, she stood with Zara on the observation deck watching a nebula bloom in colors no human eye had ever seen. "I have to go back," she said softly. Zara did not look at her. "I know. They will not understand. They will call me a traitor or a dreamer. Then be both," Zara said. "Dreamers change the world. Traitors to fear are heroes to hope." Lisa smiled. "Will you come with me?" "Not yet. The Bloom is needed here. But one day, when your world is ready." Lisa nodded. "I will make it ready." As her small shuttle prepared to leave the Bloom, wrapped it in light not to pull but to protect. Kale sent a message from the Krell border. A single word, remember. The Vera sent nothing, but the stars shone a little brighter along her path. Back on Earth, Lisa landed not at a military base but in a quiet field outside New Chicago. She walked into the city wearing simple clothes, her hair loose, her eyes calm. She found a small school and asked to speak to the children, not about war or aliens or ships, but about feeling. She told them it was okay to cry, okay to hope, okay to be afraid and still move forward. She told them kindness was not weakness, that listening was as brave as fighting. The children listened, their eyes wide not with fear but wonder. Word spread, not fast, not loud, but deep, like roots. Years later, a new scout ship launched from Earth, its hull smooth, its systems quiet. It carried no weapons, only seeds. Seeds from the whispering Bloom, seeds from the Krell moon, seeds from the Vera crystal. Its captain was a young woman with brown hair and calm eyes. Her name was Maya, Lisa's student, her friend. As the ship left orbit, a message came through the comms, soft and familiar. "Welcome back, human," the alien princess whispered. "The Bloom has been waiting." And far away in the dark between stars, a living ship pulsed with golden light, ready to show the universe that the strongest thing in all creation is not a weapon or a shield or a wall, it is an open heart. Years had passed since Lisa first stepped onto the whispering Bloom, and the galaxy was not the same. The Bloom's light had spread not through conquest but through quiet ripples. Krell children now played with seeds that bloomed into singing flowers. Vera scholars studied human poetry not as data, but as feeling. And on Earth, small schools taught that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to care anyway. Yet peace, like all living things, needed tending. And somewhere in the deep dark, a shadow stirred, not of anger, but of silence so complete it swallowed sound itself. Safe meant predictable. Safe meant obedient. They began quietly, scanning human minds who had visited the Bloom, collecting data on emotional resonance, testing how light from the heart sphere affected brain patterns. They told volunteers it was for healing, for peace, but in sealed rooms they asked darker questions. Can we weaponize hope? Can we erase grief on command? Can we make loyalty without love? Lisa heard rumors. A friend vanished after a routine medical scan. A teacher who spoke of Zara was reassigned to a remote outpost. Then came the message that chilled her blood. Maya was missing, not lost, not captured, erased from records. Her ship, the Starbloom, listed as decommissioned. Her crew reassigned without memory of her. Lisa knew better. Maya would not leave quietly. She had Zara's seed planted in her chest not as a jewel but as a compass. It glowed when truth was near. Lisa went to the Alliance command not with anger but with questions. They met her with smiles and denials. Captain Maya is on extended leave, they said, for her own well-being. She showed signs of emotional instability, too much exposure to alien influence. Lisa looked each of them in the eye. You are afraid of feeling. Admiral Carter stepped forward. We are afraid of chaos. Your bloom taught us to feel but not how to lead. Emotion without discipline is fire without a hearth. It burns everything. Then teach discipline through trust, not control, Lisa replied. You cannot cage light and call it safe. That night Lisa left the city, not in a ship but on foot through old tunnels beneath the city, where the Alliance's eyes did not reach. She carried only a small pack and a single silver leaf from the original bloom, pressed between glass. It pulsed faintly against her skin. She traveled for days, reaching the edge of Alliance space where the stars were wild and unnamed. There she found what remained of the Whispering Bloom's core, not a ship but a grove, floating islands of living light tethered by vines of memory. At its center hovered the heart sphere still cradling Zara's presence. It glowed softly as Lisa approached. They are trying to control what we shared, Lisa said. I know Zara's voice came not in sound but in warmth in the air, in the light itself. They fear what they cannot own. What do? We do not fight them. We remind them. How be showing them that feeling cannot be caged. It can only be invited. Zara sent a ripple through the grove. Seeds detached from the vines drifting like fireflies. Each carried a memory, not of war or victory but of small human moments. A father teaching his daughter to ride a bike. A nurse holding a stranger's hand in a hospital. A soldier sharing water with an enemy. These were the true weapons. Not force but recognition. Lisa took a handful of seeds. I will bring them back. Not alone you will not, Zara said. From the shadows of the grove, figures emerged. Kale, his armor now woven with living moss. The Vera elder, her smooth face etched with lines of care. Even a young Draith, its form no longer pure void but shimmering with faint gold threads. They had come not to fight but to witness. We stand with you, Kale said. Your people are our people now. The Vera elder placed a cool hand on Lisa's arm. Control is the oldest lie. Connection is the oldest truth. They returned to Earth not in warships but in silence. Their vessels left no trail. They landed not at ports but in forgotten fields. They scattered the seeds not as weapons but as gifts. The seeds did not explode. They bloomed. Tiny flowers of light that hummed with memory. Anyone who touched one saw not data but feeling, felt not command but kinship. The Alliance tried to contain them. Burned fields. Sealed cities. Arrested those who spoke of the blooms. But feeling spreads like roots. A child found a flower in a crack in the pavement. A prisoner touched one through a barred window. A soldier on patrol knelt and wept without knowing why. Admiral Carter ordered Project Anchor activated. They unleashed a pulse designed to disrupt emotional resonance. A wave of cold logic meant to silence the heart. It swept across the planet. Lights dimmed. The flowers wilted. For a moment silence returned, but then something unexpected happened. The pulse did not erase feeling. It amplified it. Because true feeling is not noise. It is signal. And in the sudden quiet, every heart beat louder. Every memory shone brighter. People looked at each other and saw not threats but reflections. They remembered Lisa's words. They remembered Zara's light. They remembered Maya's laugh, and they chose not violence, not rebellion, but refusal. Workers left their posts. Soldiers laid down their rifles. Scientists deleted their data, not because they were ordered to, but because they finally felt the weight of what they had done. Admiral Carter stood alone in his command center watching his empire of control crumble. Not with a bang, but with a sigh. He activated the final protocol, a self-destruct sequence for Project Anchor's core. If he could not control the light, he would bury it in ash. Lisa knew. She felt the shift in the air like a held breath. She ran through the city streets now filled with people holding hands, singing old songs, crying without shame. She reached the underground lab just as the countdown began. Inside, chained to a chair, was Maya. Wires connected to her temples, her eyes closed, her chest barely rising. The bloom seed in her chest glowed weakly. They had tried to drain it to power their machine. Lisa cut the wires with her bare hands. Maya stirred. Lisa, she whispered. They wanted to make a weapon from my heart. Not today, Lisa said. The countdown reached 10. The walls shook. The machine whined. Lisa placed her hand on Maya's chest over the seed. She did not pray. She remembered. She remembered Zara's first touch. She remembered the taste of rain on the bloom. She remembered every person who had chosen kindness when fear was easier. And she let it all flow into Maya. Light erupted from the room, not hot, but pure. It filled the lab, the tunnels, the city, the sky. The self-destruct sequence froze. The machine cracked, then bloomed into vines of silver light. The walls dissolved into petals. And Maya stood whole again, her eyes bright with tears. Above ground, Admiral Carter watched the light rise from the earth. It did not burn. It embraced. It wrapped around him not as punishment, but as invitation. He fell to his knees. For the first time in decades, he wept, not from defeat, but from release. The Alliance did not fall. It transformed. Not by force, but by choice. Project Anchor became Project Root. Labs became gardens. Soldiers became teachers. And Lisa stood not as a leader, but as a guide. In the weeks that followed, the grove from the edge of space drifted closer to Earth. Not to rule, but to rest. Its islands settled in the oceans and mountains, becoming places of quiet reflection. People came not to take, but to listen, to remember that they were part of something larger. Zara's presence remained in the light and the wind, in the quiet between heartbeats. She did not speak often, but when she did, it was always the same. You are enough as you are. Just feel. Just share. Maya took command of a new vessel, not for scouting, but for healing. It carried no weapons, only seeds and stories. Kale and the Vera elder traveled with her, teaching that strength and gentleness were not opposites, but partners. And Lisa returned to her park bench. The same bakery, the same bread. But now children sat with her not to hear tales of war, but to ask how to be kind when it is hard. She told them it is always hard. That is why it matters. One evening, as the sun set, painting the sky in bloom gold, she felt a familiar warmth. She closed her eyes and smiled. You are still here, she whispered. Always came the wind. As long as someone chooses to care. The galaxy was not perfect. Fear still rose. Anger still burned. But now there was a counterweight. A quiet knowing that they were not alone. That every tear, every laugh, every hand held in the dark was a stitch in the fabric of something beautiful. And in the deepest dark where the Draith watched, they too began to plant seeds. Not of light, but of question. What if feeling is not error? What if it is the point? The end. Peace had settled over the Alliance like morning mist, soft and steady. Cities hummed not with war drums, but with shared meals and open classrooms. Children learned alien songs alongside human history. Krell elders taught Vera youth how to weave memory vines. And in the center of it all, Lisa walked quietly, her presence a quiet anchor in a world learning to trust its own heart. Yet peace is not the end of struggle, but the space to grow. And growth always stirs the soil. It began with a whisper from the outer rim, not of danger, but of silence. Not the void of the Draith, but something quieter, more personal. Entire colonies stopped sending messages. Not because they were attacked, but because they chose to stop. They called themselves the Unbound. Humans who had once embraced the bloom's light now turned away. They said feeling too much had made them weak. That empathy had cost them clarity. That to survive the universe they needed to harden again. Their leader was someone Lisa knew, Captain Elena Ross. Once a scout like Lisa, once a friend. She had lost her entire crew to a Krell raid before the truce. She had held their bodies in the cold dark and sworn never to feel that pain again. When the bloom's light came, she welcomed it at first, but then she watched her grief soften, and she mistook that softening for forgetting. We are not healing, she told her followers. We are erasing ourselves. Feeling does not bring them back. Only strength does. In the cold silence of deep space, a small human scout ship drifted its hull, scarred its lights flickering. Inside, Lisa lay curled on the floor, her breath shallow, her lips cracked from thirst. 17 days had passed since the attack. 17 days with no contact, no rescue, no hope. Her oxygen levels blinked red on the cracked display. She had patched the worst of the damage with tape and wire, but the ship was dying, and so was she. Then, without warning, the stars outside bent like glass in water. A shape emerged, smooth and vast, its surface shimmering like oil on water. It made no sound, yet filled the void with presence. Before Lisa could react, a soft blue beam wrapped around her vessel and pulled it gently into the belly of the unknown. She woke on a surface that felt like cool silk. The air smelled sweet like rain on warm stone. The room was tall and curved with walls that pulsed faintly with silver light. She tried to sit, but her body ached. Then a figure stepped from the shadows, tall and slender. Her skin the color of dusk with silver lines tracing her arms and face like living constellations. Her eyes were large, deep violet and full of calm. She wore a robe that shifted from blue to violet as she moved. "You are safe now," the alien woman said, her voice low and smooth like wind through tall grass. "You are Lisa of Earth. I am Zara of the Seventh Star House. You are aboard the Whispering Bloom." Lisa blinked, trying to clear the fog from her mind. "Why am I here?" she asked, her voice hoarse. "Your people attacked me. I saw your ships." Zara tilted her head slightly. "Those were not our ships. We do not attack the lost. We find them. We help them. Your vessel was adrift near the Veil of Silence. No signals, no heat. We thought you were dead." Lisa looked down at her torn flight suit. Almost was. Zara stepped closer and offered a small cup filled with clear liquid. "Drink. It will restore your strength." Lisa hesitated. Poison. Trap. Lies. Those were the lessons she had learned in the Alliance. But her throat burned and her hands shook. She took the cup and drank. The liquid was cool and tasted faintly of mint and something floral. Warmth spread through her chest. Her vision sharpened. She could breathe again. "Thank you," she whispered. Zara nodded. "Your kind is rare out here. Most humans stay within the Alliance borders. You flew far beyond them." While Lisa looked away, "I was chasing a signal. A distress call from a research station near the edge. By the time I got there, it was gone. Only wreckage. Then the patrol ships came. They fired without hailing. I barely escaped." Zara's eyes softened. "The Krell. They hunt humans now. They believe your species spreads chaos like a disease. They say you burn worlds and break treaties. They say you cannot be trusted." "We are not perfect," Lisa said sharply, "but we are not monsters." "I know," Zara said simply. "I have studied your world. Your music, your art, your courage. I have watched your children build sandcastles on beaches while war raged miles away. That is not chaos. That is hope." Lisa stared at her. "You watched us, not all of us fear you. Some of us wonder." Before Lisa could reply, a low hum filled the room. The silver veins in the walls brightened. Zara turned toward the far wall where a soft glow formed into an image. Space. And in it a fleet of jagged black ships moving fast, their hulls bristling with weapons. Red lights pulsed along their sides like angry eyes. "The Krell," Zara said. "They tracked your ship. They know you are here." Lisa stood quickly, her legs still weak. "Then run." "We do not run," Zara said. "But we do not fight as they expect." "What do you mean? Our ship is not like yours. It does not fire lasers or missiles. It listens, it feels. It responds." Lisa frowned. "Responds to what? To truth? To emotion? To heart?" Lisa almost laughed. "You are going to fight a warship with feeling." Zara met her gaze. "Sometimes the strongest weapon is not what you shoot, but what you show." She led Lisa through winding corridors that glowed with soft light. Other beings moved through the halls, tall, graceful, silent. They wore robes like Zara's, and their eyes held the same calm depth. They glanced at Lisa not with suspicion but curiosity. One young alien girl stopped and stared at Lisa's short brown hair, then touched her own long silver strands as if comparing. "This is the core chamber," Zara said as they entered a wide dome. In the center floated a sphere of liquid light swirling slowly like a galaxy in a bubble. It gave off no heat, but Lisa felt warmth just looking at it. "This is the heart of the bloom," she explained. "It connects to every part of the ship. It feeds on harmony, on sincerity. If a lie enters this room, the light dims. If fear takes hold, it flickers. But if truth stands here, it shines brighter than stars." Lisa stepped closer. "Can I touch it? Only if your heart is open. Only if you are not hiding." Lisa thought of everything she had buried. The grief for her parents lost in the Mars uprising. The guilt for leaving her younger brother behind when she joined the Scout Corps. The loneliness that gnawed at her even in a crowd. She had spent years building walls around those feelings. But here in this strange place with this calm alien woman, she felt something shift. She let the walls crack. She reached out and placed her palm on the sphere. Light exploded through the chamber, golden and warm. It filled every corner, spilled into the corridors, poured through the ship like a wave. The walls hummed. The floor vibrated with a deep, gentle song. Zara gasped. "No human has ever done that. The bloom has accepted you." Outside, the Krell ships closed in, their weapons charged. A voice crackled over the comms, harsh and metallic. "Surrender the human, or be erased." Zara turned to Lisa. "What do you wish to do?" Lisa looked at the glowing sphere, then at the image of the Black Fleet. She thought of all the times she had been told to hide her pain, to be strong, to never show weakness. But maybe strength was not in hiding. Maybe it was in showing. "We do not give them what they expect," she said. "We give them something they cannot destroy." Zara nodded. "Then stand with me." They placed their hands on the sphere together. Lisa closed her eyes and let everything rise to the surface. The sorrow, the love, the fear, the hope. She did not push it down. She let it flow. Zara did the same. Their emotions mingled in the light, weaving together like threads of gold and silver. The whispering bloom responded. From its hull poured not fire but light. Pure, clear light that carried memory not as data but as feeling. It washed over the Krell ships, not burning but revealing. Inside the lead Krell vessel, the commander froze. His screens filled not with weapons readouts but with images. A human mother singing to her child in a bombed-out city. A scientist sharing her last meal with a stranger. A pilot sacrificing her ship to save a civilian convoy. And Lisa alone in her cockpit whispering, "I'm sorry," to a photo of her brother. The commander's hand trembled. He had been taught that humans were beasts driven by greed and rage. But this was something else. This was pain, yes, but also grace. This was fear, but also courage. This was not chaos. This was choice. He lowered his weapon. The fleet halted. The red lights dimmed. Silence returned to the void. Inside the bloom, Lisa sank to her knees, exhausted but smiling. Zara knelt beside her. "You showed them what words could not." Lisa looked up, tears in her eyes. "Maybe that is what we are meant to do. Not conquer, not hide, but share." Zara touched her cheek gently. "Your kind feels deeply even when it hurts. That is rare in the stars. Most species lock their hearts away. But you let yours bleed. And in that bleeding there is beauty." Lisa leaned against her. "I thought I was broken for feeling too much." "You are not broken," Zara whispered. "You are whole." In the days that followed, Lisa stayed aboard the Whispering Bloom. She learned how the ship grew like a plant. How its corridors changed shape with the crew's moods, how food formed from light and memory. She taught Zara about Earth, about snow and oceans and the sound of rain on rooftops. They sat for hours sharing stories, not as alien and human, but as two souls who had seen darkness and still chose light. The Krell did not become friends, but they stopped hunting. They watched. They listened. And somewhere in the vast dark, a seed of understanding took root. Lisa knew she would return to Earth one day, but for now, here in this living ship with this gentle alien woman, she had found something she had not known she was searching for. Place where feeling was not weakness, but strength. Weeks passed aboard the Whispering Bloom and time flowed like slow water. Lisa no longer counted days by oxygen levels or ration packs. She woke to soft light that brightened with the ship's mood and slept to the quiet hum of its living walls. Zara showed her how to speak with the bloom, not with words but with intention. A thought, a feeling, a memory could shape the air around them. Lisa learned to ask for warmth and the walls would glow amber. She thought of rain and mist would curl from the ceiling like breath. It was not magic but something deeper, something older. It was trust made real.